Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Yep, start with Nina. So Jax, pretty much from yesterday, tells Nina that, Michael is open to the idea of you seeing, Wiley. Now, here's the thing about Nina, and I don't even. See, here's the thing. Nina is more focused on getting over on Carly and getting close to Sunny rather than spending time with her own grandchild. And the reason why I sit there and say this is because Nina is just like, oh, so like, was Carly happy? So what's going on? So it's not a definite or anything like that, right? It's just a maybe. It's just a possibility. And I'm like, Nina, the fact that it's even a possibility after what you did, um, says a lot about Michael. And the fact that Jax, actually made that happen says a lot about Jax. Um, but she's like, because it's not a definite, I can't do it. I'm just gonna stay in Nixon Falls. And I'm like, you know what, Nina, to be honest, you're also a coward. Okay? Because the minute that this whole thing blows up in your face, you might as well leave at this point. You might as well leave. Um, Now, even when me sitting there saying that, Carly has done a lot of crap. Hell, there's people in the town that still does not like Carly. Um, and she chose to stay regardless. So while I'm sitting there saying, yeah, Nina, you should probably just wind up leaving. Let's be honest, that's mostly because I don't like this character. Um, and for people that haven't been watching this or maybe not remember, the whole thing started with the whole Willow Tate thing and how she was acting towards her. And ever since then, well, I just really could not stand that woman. Um, and the sad thing is that when she got out the coma, I tried to forgive her for her wanting to break up Kiki's relationship with Michael. Because here's the thing, it's one thing if you want to go after it's one thing if you want to go after Ava. Y'all both grown adults, whatever, she screwed you over, so you go back at her. But to sit there and go after her kids, it's like, really, sweetheart? Really? It's now you're picking on teenagers? This is like, I'm not gonna lie, that kind of did sour my feelings towards her in the beginning. But, over time, whatever, it was like, alright, finally. And then also, I took kind of a break. So when I came back again, I was like, okay, you know what? Nina's not so bad. And then I started liking her. And then that whole thing happened, and I was just like, nope, screw her. Absolutely screw her. Now, granted, the whole thing with Willow, I think, was like maybe about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. And so, technically speaking, I should probably just get over it and be like, alright, let me just see her as the character for today and not for how she was, 2 or something years ago. But I can't do that, and that's just not going to happen. Now, granted, with that being said, Nina is not the worst character. She hasn't done the worst thing on the show, I don't, she hasn't. To be honest, that title to this day still goes to Luke. Um, if you don't know what I'm talking about, think about how Lulu was conceived. And we'll just stop it right there. But yes, so yeah, Nina is just like, nope, I'm not going, I'm not going to go back. It's not a guarantee, yada, yada, yada. And, Jack says something along the lines of, I just want you happy and you're a good person and yada, yada, yada. And, Nina is feeling guilty. And granted, you're feeling guilty because you do have a conscience, but you're still doing what is wrong. So, I don't know exactly how much of a conscience you really have. It's like, you're doing the wrong thing and you're just going to keep doing it because At this point, does she even remember why, like why she's doing this? Like, she's that angry. The sad thing is that I think in the beginning she started off being angry with Carly, and that's why she did it. And it's not to sit there and say she's still not angry with her, but I think this snowballed into the fact that now it's just gotten out of control. It's not even so much about the fact that she's doing it because she hates Carly. She's doing it because, well, she started something that just went in motion. Now it's out of control. And she's, well, to be honest, she's too much of a damn coward to actually just come forward and be like, hey, listen, maybe I can try to salvage this. So, yeah, that ends that. And I spent way too much time on her. Nah, she deserved the rant. So let's go with Brooklyn and Maxi. And I'm not gonna lie, the reason why I paused this because I was like, what's her name? Ava? It is Ava. To me, damn Avas. And that's here in Days for people that don't watch Days. So let's go with Brooklyn and Maxi. So Brooklyn shows the fact that, her baby's fake or whatever. And she's like, hey, listen, we can do each other a favor. I can sit there and hide your baby. And, you could, go through with your whole plan. Because, she tells Maxie about the fact that Olivia overheard what she was sitting there saying. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, what? I feel like I was having a brain fart. But yeah, she overheard and everything like that. So at first, Maxie, for a good 15 minutes, is like, no, I'm not doing it. She's, my baby's not a prop, this, that, and third. I'm not doing it. I was like, Maxie, you can't be this stupid, right? But now I'm sitting there thinking, seeing how you're in this position, yeah, it's totally possible. So I'm sitting there thinking, Maxie, are you really going to sit there and just turn her down? I'm just wondering how long is it going to take before she realizes that Brooklyn is the best option. They're going to sit there and do the whole plan of, Max is going to give Brooklyn the child and, Max is going to sit there and fake the child's death. And yeah, so for anyone that didn't actually watch it, that's like a good 15 minutes that time that I just saved you because that's literally what was going on from start to finish. And Brooklyn even though acknowledges the fact that, listen, Valentin may have his shortcomings, but when it comes towards his children, as far as protecting his children, he's going to make sure that, your child is protected. Now, yes, I do agree with the people in the chat, in the in the comments and stuff like that, as far as like Brooklyn being, just pretty much cruel to Valentin. Now, don't get me wrong, Valentin has done some really terrible things, so I'm like, I don't know exactly how bad I feel for him. I mean, yeah, you're using a child to get what you want, and then when he finds out that child isn't real, it's gonna hurt and that's gonna suck. But I mean, let's be honest. He did shoot Nicholas out of a window. He shot Kevin. Who knows what he did to Claudette? Remember Claudette? I know, kind of crazy, right? It's like they start that whole story and then they just kind of just nixed in, just I guess assumed that everyone forgot about it, which clearly I didn't, and I don't think anyone else did. But yeah, he probably did something to Claudette, or maybe not. But the point is, he's done some terrible things. So I'm not entirely like feeling sorry for Valentin. Let's be honest. So Liz was not there asking Finn, like after he checked, after Finn was not there talking to Chase and everything like that. When they got outside, Liz was like, so what's going on with that Wonder Drop? Like what happened back there? And, Finn was like, yo, just let it go. Just drop it. Like, just leave it alone. And at first, what I said was kind of true. Liz was like, listen, I need to know what's going on since I'm going to be part of your team. I need to know, like, what's going on so that's where I can help, assist, or whatever. And that's when Finn snapped at her and was like, hey, listen, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of stressed out. But really what it came down to was like, listen, he's good right now. Like, Why don't you just kind of just back off the questions a little bit? But now I'm sitting there thinking about it. Maybe if, Liz injects something into Chase and I don't know, it has a reaction to whatever drug that Finn was giving him, she would probably want to know that. So I do understand where Liz is coming from. But with that being said, Finn does reassign her to somewhere else because, she's just asking too many questions for him, and he's just, no. He's not about that. Yeah, earlier he was there talking to Chase and stuff like that, and nothing really major or anything like that. For me, I'm not gonna lie, this whole shift from an emotional standpoint of him just now treating him as his son, like it's just so like, natural and everything like that. Like, you've known him for years as your brother. Okay. I can imagine if I knew somebody as a friend for a long time and then I just found out that they're my brother. It would just seem odd. Like, I just couldn't transition that fast. So the fact that he's doing that, he's hovering over him, he's talking to him and just being really nice and soft or whatever, like a dad would treat his son, just seems so, I don't know, I guess rushed. But it is a soap opera, so it is what it is. Now Willow comes in there. Now Willow earlier was not there talking to Michael, and pretty much they kind of just agreed to kind of hold off their plans of being together until Chase is better, because Willow is kind of like his anchor, something to hope for and everything like that, and they both kind of just agree that it's just not a good idea to kind of rock the boat right now. So they kind of put their whole relationship on a bit of a pause, which, honestly, tell you the truth, I'm not gonna lie, and I've been saying this for so long, and I feel like a broken record, but I need to kind of repeat myself. At the end of this whole thing, Michael's gonna be by himself. So hopefully they introduce a new woman into like the show, because I don't really see this whole Willow and Michael thing really lasting too long. And I mean, let's be honest, how often does Michael relationships actually really work out? Um, but yeah, Willow comes into the room, talks to Chase for a little bit, and once again, Chase is not there giving her that guilt trip, like, I got something to hope for, and we're gonna be together, and I have a lifetime to be with you, and Willow's just like, yeah, that's great, long time, that couldn't be any better, that's the look that she had on her face, like, granted she was trying to smile and not look too guilty, because I mean, I don't know if like, I mean, honestly, too, at this point, Chase is just so out of it. It's like, if he was actually awake and he saw the looks on her face, he would know that there's something up. So he is like. And honestly, to tell you the truth, here's another thing. Peter said that this drug was supposed to get him nearly back on his feet, but he still looked like he's at death's door. So, Peter, what did you actually give him? Because, whatever. And let's talk about the Britt, Carly, and Jason scene. So Britt is not there trying to access the computer files again, and it's coming up, deny, deny, deny. And Cyrus walks up, and Cyrus is like, so, what are you looking at? What are you looking for? And she tries to explain it, and she basically says, she's like, listen, the drug that was found in that kid was the same drug that we were there trying to go for as far as getting approved. And Cyrus was like, well, we just leave that alone. Just leave it alone, let it go, leave it alone. Also, here's the thing, you're spending a lot of time with Jason, and I don't want the other patients to feel jealous or neglected. So, why don't you just allocate your time and, other areas besides Jason? That was pretty much a threat at this point. And when Britt went back, Britt was like, yeah, we have a problem. Cyrus pretty much kind of caught on to me. Now, before Britt walked into the room, Carly was like, listen, you gotta leave. Like, we gotta bounce. Like, you being in jail is only a matter of time before someone, kills you. Even with you and Sean kind of watches at the back, it's like, it's y'all two versus, well, pretty much however much Cyrus is going to pay these people. So, clock is ticking. Um, but yeah, when Britt walks back into the room, Carly's like, listen, you got to help Jason escapes. And Britt agrees. And Jason goes along with the plan. Jason's like, listen, I don't like it, but I'm going to trust you. Which is actually pretty odd because you can tell at this point, like, whatever plan that Jason had cooking up, or is like, I'm good, I'm just going to stay. For whatever odd reason, like, he realized that maybe staying in jail, being surrounded by a bunch of criminals that Cyrus is probably, like, paying, may not be the best course of action. So the fact that he's actually agreeing with Carly on something, is bad. Okay? It's bad. So yeah, Jason agrees. Britt calls up Obrecht and tells her to, kind of lay low and find some place to hang out. And of course she does, because she's still hooking up with Scotty. And she's sitting there talking to Scotty. I keep calling him Scotty, and I know it's Scott, but ever since Laura kept sitting there saying Scotty, that's just kind of comes to my mind. But yeah, Scott and Britt are sitting there talking. And at first, Scott was like, so, I've been calling and calling and calling. You're not answering the phone. Like, you avoiding me or something like that? So, Obrecht is like, no, I'm not doing that. I've just been busy. Peter walks by, and he says something to Obrecht and Scott as far as, you both just losing people and stuff like that. And at this point, Scott's had enough. So he grabs, he yokes up Peter. He's like, I'm going to kill you for killing my son, and yada, yada, yada. He lets him go, and Peter's like, you know what? No harm, no foul. I don't know who's been telling you those bogus lies, but, they're a liar, so just don't believe them. He goes in the elevator, and, at this point, Obrecht is like, yeah, let's be honest. Obrecht was a little turned on, alright? Let's just be real. She was definitely turned on at that point, and, a little bit after, she probably asked Scott, just to kind of like hang out or whatever. And, Scott is more than happy about that. Because the minute that elevator closes, well, they're pretty much probably on first or second base at this point. So, yeah, that's still a thing. So that's cool. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, I'm not the type of person that kind of just roots for people or find couples cute or whatever. But you know what? Let's see where that goes. Let's see what that whole Obrecht and Scott goes. Because that seems kind of interesting. Now, Laura's sitting there talking to Cyrus. And, Cyrus like, listen, I got everything I want. I mean, like, I got my mother back. I'm good. Yada, yada, yada. And at this point, Laura tries to appeal to Cyrus' better nature by saying, hey, listen, why don't you just, like, be a good person, change life around and stuff like that. You got everything. And this is when Cyrus is like, I want you in my life. I want, a relationship with me and you. And, Laura's like, listen, we're kind of at an impasse right now. And Cyrus makes it very clear, at the end of the day, the battlegrounds, the lines are dividing. And you better decide on which line you want to be on. And I remember a conversation that Laura was there having with Martin. And Martin pretty much like, listen, for the good of poor Charles, for the good of the people, why don't you sit there and play nice with Cyrus? Like, at least try. And I do remember Laura was there having a conversation with either Ava or Carly, I think, one of those two. And she was, she was there saying, like, hey, listen, he wants a relationship with me. And, for some odd reason and whatever. And I'm like, so why don't you just do that? At the very least, you could sit there and kind of smooth things over. Kind of keep the peace a little bit, So, while she's standing there, just like, I don't know what to do. I was like, Laura, you know damn well what to do. Martin was sitting there telling me what to do. Hell, you even was sitting there saying that, Cyrus wants a connection with you. So, like, what are you waiting for? There were some scenes between Peter and Valentin, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I felt like, in some ways, I felt like it was somewhat unnecessary. I mean, all Peter was there doing was kind of taunting Valentin and talking about, hey, listen, instead of focusing on me, you need to sit there and focus on your own family. And, he was just sitting there bragging about how he has more access with Maxi and, everything's going to be better. And, Maxi realized that, you know, um, it's for the good of our child and for everyone, that I'm in her life. Also, Peter was also the person that kind of like helped Maxi make that decision because he called Maxi and was like, hey, listen, so how about those nurses, Like, here's the thing. The minute that he called Maxi was like, yeah, I got to do this plan. Like, I have to do this plan. Of course, I was just like, you didn't need... You didn't need Peter to sit there and give you that call to motivate you because, you know what, honestly, tell you the truth, like I said, that whole thing just dragged on way too long, but whatever. But yeah, they exchanged some words, nothing major, and I kind of was like, was this scene really necessary? I don't know. Here's the thing. It's also, Valentin talked to, Michael, about, because he overheard the fact that Michael and Willow were, considering having Nina be back in Wally's life, So Valentin was coming over like, so, I heard the news, that you're gonna let Nina back into Wiley's life. And Michael was like, yeah, well, what we do is pretty much none of your business. Like, like, why even walking over here? Like, what do you mean you have in common again, pretty much? And, Valentin was like, hey, like it or not, we're going to be family. Which they're not, but whatever. But yeah, I'm not going to lie. The scene between Peter and Valentin just seemed somewhat unnecessary. I don't know. Here's the thing. It's different. Like when I'm watching this as just a fan of the show, somebody who's been watching this since 2001, pretty much, it's a little different. Because I can sit there and watch it and watch them talk back and forth and yada yada yada. But then when you watch it from a reviewer standpoint, and not even just this, like I watched this and then I watched Days, I'm like, this scene could have been cut out and this episode would have kind of been the same, more or less. And I almost want to sit there and say Peter's scene. Well, I guess Peter was necessary. I don't know if Valentin was really necessary in this episode. There's a lot of times where I feel like they're just kind of just throwing characters just to kind of just throw them in there. And I'm just like, maybe if they focus more time on certain people, like let's say Nina and Jackson, other people, more than they just kind of just like throwing extra people sometimes, it's just like, why? It's I don't know, it's kind of hard to sit there and explain it, like watching it as a fan and then just like watching it from a reviewer standpoint. Especially when I watch this in Days, it's just like, and by the way, the review is kind of over. And then I watch like Days, it's just like, these were two good episodes, but it was like, there was so much stuff that could have just been cut out of this, and it would have been exactly the same. And yes, with that being said, that's pretty much about it, and I ranted on way too long, so thank you for anyone that's still listening. Also, like I was saying before, I am leaving random emoji cakes in Brock TV's reviews, because, why not? Join the cake party. Also, if he's wondering why I can, because sometimes I write, because to be honest, I still do watch his reviews sometimes. I gotta sit there and show him love, just in general. And that's even before I started doing my reviews. I used to sit there and watch his channel all the time. And he also, got some, people to sit there and watch my channel, so I'm always internally grateful. And it is also kind of nice to kind of, sit there and support each other, like him, and I think it's another guy named Andre or whatever. as far as people that do reviews on soap operas, because to be honest, when I look at it as a whole, like there's so many people that review like comic book movies and comic book shows and everything like that. But when you watch, when it comes to like soaps and stuff like that, there's like maybe I can probably count maybe, let's see, me, Brock TV, some other girl, like 5 people I could probably count on my hand how many people that actually sit there and review soap operas. So I'm definitely, I'll sit there and definitely support any creator, but especially people that do soap opera reviews. Because they're fun to watch and, it's always fun to talk about. And even when the episode sucks, it's still fun to talk about. So with that being said, I'm gonna go because I ranted on way too long. And yes, have a good day, be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. See you in the next video.